militarization reduced investment in productive sectors like agriculture and tourism. Informal economy dominates with subsistence farming and trade, limiting state revenue and governance. Corruption, human capital, and economy disintegration. Corruption and conflict. Patronage networks and illicit activities like extortion and smuggling erodes governance and fuel violent circles. Human capital challenges. Violence disrupts education and healthcare, causing low skills and poor health, limiting economic participation. Economic disintegration. Trade barriers, blockades, and territorial disputes hinder integration with India's economy and regional cooperation. Now coming to prospect of the 2015 Framework Agreement. The first point, political roadmap. The agreement offers a path to peace, potentially unlocking economic opportunities and stability. Challenges, secrecy and ambiguity fuel mistrust among Nagas and neighboring states, limiting acceptance and progress. Development strategies, focus on infrastructure, education, healthcare, and sustainable livelihoods alike with Naga culture is essential. Governance and inclusive combating. Corruption and involving local civil society can foster trust, cohesion, and economic resilience. Social and cultural dimensions impacting development. Cultural identity. Strong tribal identities and cultural preservation unify but also fragment Naga society affecting development. Nationalism and intra-group division hinder unified planning and peace initiatives. Social impact of conflict. Long-term militarization causes psychological trauma, displacement, and weakened community cohesion. Healing social wounds is important for building a foundation for economic and political progress. The role of the traditional institutions and governance. The first is customary institution. Village councils and tribal elders maintain social order and cultural governance alongside formal state structures. Balancing governance. Development requires respect for traditional practices while promoting inclusive democratic decision making. Gender and development. Women's role in agriculture and community are important, but underrepresented politically and economically. Globalization challenges. Modernization threatens traditional norms, sustainable tourism, culture education can preserve identity. And now coming to my conclusion. The conclusion, the pathway to sustainable development. Development must address intertwined political, cultural, and social challenges. Rooted in conflict and tribalism, reconciliation and social cohesion are prerequisites for economic and political progress. Integrate traditional and modern governance with gender-sensitive, culturally respectful approaches. So the ongoing peace talks and inclusive policies are essential to unlock Nagaland's full potential and prosperity. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. If anyone has any question, I'll take one or two questions. If you don't have any question, then I'll move on to the next presenter.
Okay, thank you, sir.
If anyone have any question? Okay, thank you. No one has questions, so let me call upon the next presenter on the title, Conflict as Disruptive to Schooling and Everyday School Activities, Narrative from Nagaland. Presenter is Dr. Tula Ozukum. Is Miss Ozukum is present here?
Yes, sir, I'm present.
Yeah. You can proceed, Miss.
All right. Thank you. Respected Chairperson, fellow presenters, a very good afternoon to you all. The paper that I'll be presenting today is titled yes, can you see the screen, sir? Is my screen visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, so the paper which I'll be presenting today is titled Conflict as Disruptive to Schooling and Everyday School Activities, Narratives from Nagaland. Now, before going to the main argument of the paper that I will be presenting today, let us first quickly look at the underlying theme of the study. As we all know, conflict continues to affect the environment of a society and affects the community on a daily basis in places where there is constant conflict. And it is often argued in the literature that the impact of armed conflict on children's life often remains invisible, and the origin of the problem of children who have been affected by this conflict also remains obscured. So, within this backdrop in mind, the present paper is an attempt to analyze the effects of conflict on education, particularly with reference to the state of Nagaland. Now, the main purpose of the study is to focus on the experiences of children during the times of conflict, how education is organized, governed, and provided, and what happens to the social life of the community as well as the children, and specifically on the consequences of armed conflict on the community in general and the children and the students in particular are some of the major issues which the study has tried to highlight in this paper. Now, before going to the major findings of the research, would like to see the site of the study. For the site of the study, Atuiza, which is a small town located under Zenipoto district of Nagaland, was chosen as the site of the study. And at present, the town has 8 schools and 2 colleges. And the town has been witnessing conflict between different factional groups in Nagaland since the year 1990s. And also, it may be mentioned that one of the most recent instances of conflict in the area was in the year 2011. So, for the methodology, the study undertook a multi-stage ethnography of the small town and interacted with the community members and the young students of college-going age, as it is these students who have experienced the conflict when it was at its peak. So in this picture, we can see a partial view of the site which was selected for the study. For the narrative of conflict as disruptive to schooling and school activities, that is the main argument of the paper, we have tried to delve into 4 main subpoints, which is also seen in the slides. The first subpoint is on destruction of school and college buildings and infrastructure. The second one will deal with sudden outbreak of conflict and its impact on schooling. The third subpoint will discuss on physical dangers and obstacles faced by students. And the fourth will be on the traumas, insecurities, and long-term psychological effects. Now, in the following slides, we will go into all these 4 subpoints one by one. So the first one is on the destruction of schools and college buildings and infrastructure. Like any other societies where conflict is seen enormously, the case of Atuizu also presents a similar situation in terms of destruction to educational infrastructure. And the study reveals that instances where conflict between 2 factional groups in the area has led to the destruction of educational buildings and infrastructure, and at times the hostel where the students used to reside. Now, besides as highlighted in the narratives, the educational institutions, including the hostels, often serve as base camps or resting places for various factional groups, and it may be inferred from one of the respondents that not only are the school buildings and hostels used as base camps, but there are certain instances where firing has happened while the insurgent groups were stationed in the building. So the next slide is a narrative of one of the respondents from the study. He went on by saying that there is this particular incident where the NSA-IM and the NSA-K were engaged in crossfire, and in the middle of the year, and during this, window panes of our hostel got shattered by the bullets fired by one of the group, and the hostel even had bullet marks in the first floor of our building. So narratives such as this actually discusses about how conflict can be destructive to school, colleges, buildings, as well as infrastructure. This is a picture of a bullet mark which is sustained in one of the college walls in the area of the study. The following picture also shows a bullet mark which is sustained in one of the window classes of one of the classrooms. The second subpoint that the study has dealt with is on sudden outbreak of conflict and its impact on schooling. Now, in Atoiza, as discussed earlier, there has been instances where conflict between insurgent groups have led to disturbances in the daily school activities, and we want to argue here that there is an element of suddenness in the happenings of armed conflict, and children gets affected when these incidents happen during the school time. So, and this suddenness pervades the everyday life of the community and schooling in the Atoiza area. And when the normalcy of daily life gets disrupted by sudden outbreak of conflict in the area, let alone the community life, the students' life are put in a state of dilemma. Now, in the coming slide, again, I have tried to show one of the respondents' narrative where sudden outbreak of conflict has impacted the schooling of children. Here we will see that 5-year, when a respondent, when he was in his 5th standard, hearing sounds of gunshots that could be heard from afar. And here on that day, the teachers asked the students to kneel the students down below their desk and then walk out slowly from their classroom to the basement, and where they had all the students had to stay in the basement and kneel down for nearly an hour. So these are the narratives which is coming out from the field. The third subpoint is on the physical dangers and obstacles faced by students. Various studies have showed that violent conflict leads not only to loss of lives, but also causes physical trauma among the students. And from the narratives of the study, we have instances where students were claiming that they had walked 16 kilometers on foot for safety to the next town whenever there is firing happening in the area. Now, we want to argue here that during these various flights from the dangers of conflict, communities as well as children gets exposed to numerous physical dangers. And this is one of the narratives of the respondent from the study. The firing was quite severe that day. The students in the town started fleeing to the nearby town and villages. This was the time when I, along with 4 other hostelers, also decided to flee to a safer place. And since there was no proper transportation, we went to the next town by foot. We walked 16 kilometers. Mention may be also made here that the same respondent had claimed that this was not the only time that he had to walk for 16 kilometers on foot when conflict was happening in the area, but he had actually gone to the nearby towns for more than 4 or 5 times whenever conflict in the area escalated. The last point which the study wants to argue is on trauma, insecurities, and long-term psychological effects. Armed conflict affects child development, physical, mental, as well as emotional, and armed conflict and the traumas, insecurities, as well as psychological factors have long-lasting impact on the growth of a child. The present study also shows clearly that children are victims of these factors. So this is also another narrative of one of the respondents from the study. Since the 2 parties firing at each other were stationed very near to my place, it became risky for us to go and take shelter to a more secure place. So here this respondent is narrating about an incident which happened to him and his son, where he had to place his son inside a rice box in the kitchen for about 3 hours. So the respondent further argues that because of this incident, the young boy has gotten psychologically and traumatized, and because of that, he is not able to uh, deal well with his peers as well as his siblings. So these are some of the narratives which is coming out of the field, which talks about the traumas, insecurities, as well as long-time psychological effects which have on the children on long term. In conclusion, we want to argue that the impact of conflict on education may have significant implications, and the study finds out that the immediate consequences of such kind of conflict, as it happens in other conflict zones, is the disruption of normal life of the community. And there is a general feeling of fear and mistrust among the people in the area of the study. And just juxtaposed within the competing actors, it is thus the common people who are always at the receiving end. And consequently, as we have observed from our study, conflict adversely affects the people at varying levels and layers, and none are exempted from its tentacles. And one of the section of the society who does not escape the ravages of this conflict are the children and the young students. That's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Titola Uzukan. Now we have a very interesting subject. Right, the presenter is present that which conflicts can uh, bring very disturbing in our daily life. If anyone have any question, you can ask. Then, then we'll call to next presenter. Community participation in local governance, a case study of communitization of elementary education in Norhema village. Kanay Hono Uso is ready? Is there? The presenters?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. You can start. Oh, you can start presenting your topic.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Mm, okay. Is my slide visible?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, sir. Okay, a very good afternoon, respected chairperson and my fellow presenter. The topic which I'll be presenting now is titled Community Participation in Local Governance, a case study on communitization of elementary education in Nerima village. And this paper is written by Kendall Hunyowasu and along with my supervisor, Dr. Tiatula Ozakum. Okay, when we look at community participation, we see that it is an important aspect of a democratic government because it involves active participation of community members in planning, implementing, and managing initiatives that benefit the community. And community participation is also crucial in local governance because it fosters democratic values, it improves service delivery, and at the same time, it also enhances local participation in decision making process, and thereby it promotes accountability as well as increased transparency in governance. This paper is based on the concept of local government. And when we look at local government, we see that it refers to a system of administration where elected representatives at the grassroots level assist the central and state government in administration as well as in other important activities. And local government, it is important because it involves local autonomy, local leadership, local participation, as well as local accountability and local development. So local government, it is a grassroots level governance which helps the local people to minister the local affairs at the community level. Okay, as this paper is on communitization of elementary education in Derhema village, let us first look at the meaning of communitization. So when we say communitization, it is a governing strategy that aims at promoting local governance by incorporating local people in decision-making process. And this concept communitization was first introduced by R.S. Pandey in the year 2002. And communitization, it promotes local governance because it delegates authority, responsibility, and resources from the state level to the community level for better administration. And communitization, it is a great partnership between the government and the community to manage and administer public institutions for better delivery of public services, particularly at the village level. So, as mentioned, the area of my study is Nerima village, and this particular village falls under Kohima district of Nagaland, and this village is again divided into three sub-villages, namely Nirhima, Nirhimodal, and Nirhipeja. This research paper, it was carried out using exploratory research design in order to collect both primary and secondary data. When we look at the objectives of this paper, we will see that this paper, it aims to analyze how communitization empower local governance and promote community involvement in decision-making process. And at the same time, this study also aims to observe the functioning of local government in enhancing effective delivery of public services at the grassroots level. Okay. mm the state government, through Nagaland Communitization of Public Institution and Services Act of 2002, has introduced a communitization process in Nagaland. And through this act, a local governing body called as School Management Board, earlier it was called as Village Education Committee, was set up in 2003 in Nirhima village to monitor and manage education as well as its related activities in the village. Following the implementation of the Act, elementary education came under the purview of the community. And through this Act, VAC, also known as SMC, was formed in the village to manage, direct, supervise the administration and academic section, um, and also to ensure community participation in the public sectors. Okay, since VAC play an important role with regard to education sector in Nagaland, let us look at the structure of the VEC or SMC. In Nerima village, VEC was first constituted in the year 2003, headed by SMC chairman along with 8 members who are representatives from the 8 khels of the village. And when we look at the VEC committee, you will see that it comprises of members from each school as well as representatives from parents, church, and village council. At present, there are 16 SMC members, 10 male members, and 6 female members. When we look at the structure of SMC, we also find that 1/3 of SMC seats is reserved for women. And when we look at communitization process, we see that this communitization strategy of governance not only promote local governance, but it also enhance women involvement in management and governing aspects. These are the educational institutions that is found in the Rima village. Okay, we will now look into how the various groups and committees have contributed towards development of education sector in the village. The first one is the role of SMC in local governance. Through SMC, it is noticed that there is regular midday meal supply to students through the supervision of SMC. There is better delivery of services. SMC also monitor teachers' attendance and check performance of the teachers and students. SMC also ensure availability of teachers and appoint temporary teacher in times of need for smooth functioning of classes. Some of the developmental activities which have been executed by the SMC have been mentioned below. The first one is creation of library cum playroom in 2022 in order to make learning more exciting and fun for the students. Then the second one is indigenous beekeeping project, which was started in 2023 at GPS Nirima Peja in order to harvest in order to harvest honey for the students for midday meal. Then the third one is construction of new classroom and repairing of all ceilings and school roof painting by SMC chairman. Then the next one is the role of parents in education sector. Parents have also played an important role towards development of education, and after communitization, the involvement of parents um, in education sector is oh, it has increased. So after communitization, parents have started to participate in meetings, and then, as mentioned earlier, there is representative of parents in SMC governing body, and when we look at some of the role of parents in education sector, we see that during special school functions, parents often voluntarily render free service in areas like cleaning school campus, prepare meals for the students, and also provide fruits and vegetables for midday meals. Then parents are credited for their contribution towards the school kitchen garden. There is also more support and cooperation from the parents' body towards children's education and school development after communitization. Okay, the role of teachers towards school development. As educators, the teachers play an important role towards students and school development. Some instances of teachers' involvement are mentioned below. The first one is in order to increase enrollment of students, students, teachers, along with the SMC members, go for door-to-door campaign enrollment drive in order to identify dropouts or non-school going children. Then the other example is in GPS Nirma Peja, an amount of rupees 2,000 was collected by the teachers to arrange private tuition fees for the students to prepare for class 5 board exam. Then in GMS Tikuje in the year 2021 to 22, when there was shortage of teachers, which has disrupted smooth functioning of classes, four teachers voluntarily collected a sum of rupees 8,000 to pay for a proxy teacher for a period of 3 months. Then the last one is the role of community in education sector. With communitization, the village body has taken keen interest in the development of the school, and then some of the examples of the contribution of the community is listed below. The first one is in Nerepeja, when an education institution was first set up, the community members donated land free of cost for the construction of school. Then the village council paid a sum of rupees 8,000 to a private teacher for a period of 4 months when the science teacher underwent BA training in 2023. And later, the salary of the temporary teacher was paid by the constant teacher. And again, in Repeja, when the school constructed water tank, under Big Nectar, the villagers provided free tin roof material, free timber, and arranged free sand, gravel, and boulder to the school. Then, besides this, there are also individual sponsorship for school study tour and scholarship to students during admission. So through the above mentioned instances, we can see the involvement of the community, of the parents, of the SMC and teachers towards the development of education sector in Nehirma village. And through those, we can come to the conclusion that communitization has facilitated decentralization of power and promoted local governance in various sectors, especially elementary education. And the partnership between the government and the local community has created a sense of ownership among the local people, which has encouraged active involvement of the community in administering and managing public services in the village. Also, the rich social capital inherent in the community has enabled the people to render selfless contribution towards the school and to work together for the development of its community. So, through local governance, we can see that there was better delivery of services to meet the needs of the people. With that, we have come to the end of this presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Presenter number 1, 2, and 3 is regarding uh, Nagaland, different problems and different and a good insight regarding the state of Nagaland, the problem they're facing, and everything. Now I call upon Dr. Antara Mukherjee to present his paper on the food at the fringe, a shadowy salad bowl. A very interesting topic. Is Dr. Antara Mukherjee is present here?
Yes. Sir,
Oh,
sir, am I audible?
yes, you are audible. Yes.
Okay. Just give me a time, a few
Mm,
seconds to share the screen, sir.
okay, okay, no problem.
Is my screen visible, sir?
Not yet. There's some. We can see the screen, but not the present. Your PowerPoint. You cannot see.
1 second.
Mm. Yes, we can see it.
Now you can see, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We can see it. Yes.
Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. My topic is food at the fringe, a shadowy salad bowl. I'll be focusing on the fringe of Kolkata, the southeastern part of Calcutta, and this area is known as the Khidirpur area. I have particularly marked it with the red border over there, if you could see. This part of Calcutta was very popular in the 19th century for two reasons. Firstly, because it was the place where the last Nawab of Awadh, Nawab Wajid Ali Shah, came and settled there. And it became, as one of my study area, the not only the place where he settled, which is Metia Burj, if you can find in the map, but the entire area which came to be known as Khidirpur, Iqbalpur, Mominpur, and Metia Burj. Now, this is an area that is known for its predominant Muslim population. Um, but my contention in this paper would be to go back to the era of Nawab so that I can focus on urbanization and industrial development, which was happening at the same time, where migrant laborers were coming to Calcutta from all parts of the country. And these migrants were mostly the working class population for whom the city was the biggest reservoir of hope and livelihood. In this part of the city, within 14 years of Nawab's arrival, the Calcutta Port Trust developed what came to be known as the Khidirpur Dock. So, along with Nawab Wajid Ali Shah, who was, trying to create a second Lucknow in Calcutta, we also find that from a nondescript, sleepy city, Calcutta was slowly converting itself into a bustling trade center. Owing to the rise of the industrial growth in India, Calcutta became a crucial entry point for goods which was destined to travel to the eastern and the northern provinces. This facilitated the development of port. And the establishment of port led to the influx and the efflux of migrant laborers to and from the Khidirpur area. And also, most of them were recruited from the Choto Nagpur plateau in the west to the regions of northeastern states of present day India. I have referred to a very, very pertinent article on this topic by Dr. Purba Hussain, where she focuses on how the indentured laborers traveled from this area to different parts of the world, to Britain, to France, to Denmark, and to the Dutch colonies. So, Garden Reach, this is a reference to another critic, Nalini Mahavir, who talked of this area, particularly focusing on Garden Reach, and by saying that this became the address of the British Guiana Government Immigration Agency. So, along with this, when Dr. Hussain reworked on her thesis, we came to know that not only those laborers came and settled down here, but also when they returned back with the cancellation of the indentureship contract in 1920, they came back and they settled down in Garden Ridge, in Mominpur, in Metiapur. So, what happened because of this? Subsequent generations started to exist in this part of the town, resulting in a multilingual social space within the Bengali speaking Hindu and Muslim community. So, we find in this entire area, as I pointed out in the very beginning of my presentation, we have Oriya population, Telugu, Tamil population, Hindu, Muslim population, Bihari Muslims coming in, and there are references to a lot of temples, mosques, churches, schools of different mediums coming up. For example, you find St. Stephen's Cemetery, built in 1820, still very existent, which confirms the presence of Anglo-Indian community. The imprints are still there. Then there's the church, Barnabas Church, which is established in 1867, still functioning. The Jagannath Temple, where the famous Rothir Mela still held. You find Khidirpur Oriya High School over there. Then the three stalwarts of Bengali literature, Michael Madhusudhan Datto, Rangulal Bandyopadhyay, and Hemendra Bandyopadhyay, once resided in this area. So the schools, the church, the cemeteries, the mandir, the masjids, and everything confirm to the fact that the area is a cosmopolitan space which is still existing, countering the thesis that it is predominantly a Muslim area. So Khidirpur area emerged as a salad bowl that continues to nourish the mandir, masjid, church, everything together. Now, the presence of migrant laborers, the multifarious population, contributed to the creation of a cosmopolitan social space that counters the oversimplified ghettoized theory of the area. In other words, the impact of the Ganga Jamni Tehzeeb of tolerism, of syncretism, it gets reflected in the flowering of a pluricultural social space, which by extension contributed to the formation of a salad bowl of social diversity in Khidirpur since the fag end of the 19th century. Naturally, varied culture brought varied cuisine. So, not merely biryanis and kebabs, but we also find multifarious Bengali food, culture specific sweets, snacks available at the age old cabins and bakeries, runaway vendors, and the entire area has developed into a culinary basket of southwestern Kolkata, which challenges the monolithic worldview of offering only Awadhi cuisine. Now, when I was talking of the Bihari population, migrant laborers coming in, settle down. So still today, this is a food map which was created by one of the professors teaching in one of the colleges in the area. And if we follow this food map, we will find the names of certain restaurants, certain bakeries, and certain sweet shops that are existing from a long, long time without the knowledge of the mainstream Calcutta populace. Since the Biharis were there, as I was saying, so Thekua, Litti Chokha, Sattu Ka Sarbat, all these items are found in abundance. You won't find a Bengali puchka wala over there. You would always find Bihari puchka walas centering Chaurasia's tea shop. This is a very famous tea shop in the Diamond Harbour Road, right there, where special sweets and siddhis during Holi's used to be made. I have referred to one Bengali book called Dastani Khidirpur, which is written by Ranjan Mukhopadhyay, where he has talked of a time when typical holy desserts were available and they are still being made now. Apart from this, I would also like to focus on the Pice hotels. Now, Pice hotels are typically not Calcutta products, but if you come to this area, you would see Pice hotels, particularly P.R. Chatterjee Hotel and Suites, and Young India, the two Pice hotels running still today, selling quintessential Bengali foods from shukto to dhokar dalna to begun shorshe to macher jhol, the typical Bengali delicacies are available. So challenging the concept that this is a place where only biryanis and kebabs are to be got. Now the gentlemen, the two gentlemen in the picture are P.R. Chatterjee brothers who are, going on still doing the brisk business, Chandra Chatterjee and Mohan Chatterjee. And P.R. Chatterjee is actually the name of their mother, Parul Rani Chatterjee. So this is a shop that is flourishing from pre-independent era, and it is still going strong. The food is being prepared in the traditional oven, as you see, with cooks from Orissa coming in and cooking. The Young Bengal, the another Pies hotel that I was talking, it was particularly set up to offer food at a very cheap price, to those who were working in the Khidirpur dock. Nowadays, it is, the traditional Bengali decor as you find there. It is being run by Pritha Roy Bordhon, and she in her 60s is trying to uphold the tradition set by her maternal grandfather. There are several Bengali items still found. Not only that, the typical desserts are there. So, water is still served in bhar or in earthen pot, a tradition that has not changed since the early 20th century. And the restaurant remains functional from 11 a.m. in the morning till 11 p.m. in the night. Again, like North Cal, these are the media attention that Young Bengal received. Dipali Cabin, it's another one of the popular joints, food joints in the area. And almost like North and Central Calcutta, the cabin culture flourished here too. So it is run by the Shamanto brothers, Dilip Kumar Shamanto and Deepak Shamanto, and they're widely known for selling what is known as atom bomb. This is nothing but a daler bora, and this was popular. The name was given after uh, the bombing happened in Kolkata in 1942. This shop came up in 1948. So when I interviewed them, they told me that it's very inspired by the bombing, the first bombing during the first Japanese bombing of 20th December 1942. Uh, Not only this, but English breakfast and Bengali snacks are available at Pachu Babu's Dokan. This is another popular joint often frequented by film fraternity and the veterans of Kolkata. And they have specific menu from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. They sell breakfast like boiled eggs, typical English breakfast, and then they come up with fish and chicken preparation during the afternoon, and then they have the snacks, fish fry and chicken stew and everything uh, during the evening. So it's the eldest son told us that Khidirpur and Garden Rich were very crowded, and there used to be three shifts, and so there were not many fast food shops in Kolkata during that time. So it was a very sought after place for the shipyard men. Now I'll come to the sweets. This area is specifically known
Excuse me,
for.
ma'am. We have a
Yes.
15 minutes timeline, so it's
Okay.
already been 15 minutes. Can you wind up your
Yes,
presentation,
sure,
please?
sure, sure. Definitely, sir. So these are the some sweets which I could have explained, but I'm skipping, and I will come to the bakeries and the indigenous bakeries that you find over here. And finally, I will wrap up my paper by saying that despite the overarching Awadhi legacy, it has not marginalized other cuisine. And in tune with Nawab's insistence on tolerance and acceptance, we find that social diversity is operating through diverse cuisine and the area becoming a gastronomical delight. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And let me call upon Ms. Sasis Subba, Regionalism, a study on youth of Sikkim. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. You can
Okay.
present.
Thank you, sir. First of all, my apologies, as my presentation will be an audio based to avoid any technical glitch due to the bad weather condition over here. So, good afternoon everyone. My name is Sashi Subba and I am an assistant professor at the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, Muralidhar Girls College, affiliated under the University of Calcutta, West Bengal. Before coming to the topic of my paper, which is Regionalism, a study on youths of Sikkim, I would like to share how the idea of this paper was actually originated. We, the researchers, are curious and are of observant mind and want to understand or check those curiosities and observing from the ground reality itself. So during my long stay in the research area that is Sikkim, I often came across to the term Sikkimis, used by majority to either identify themselves as a permanent resident of the state or to differentiate themselves from non-Sikkimis or the non-resident of the state. To a much surprise, non-Sikkimis are often identified as Indian in a common language. So this calling or identifying practices was new to me as logically Sikkim is an integral part of India and which automatically makes everyone Indian. And this is how the paper was born. Now coming to the topic, I would like to skip the thorough theoretical part of identifying different definitions of region, regionalism or regionalization, which is more or less of an economic process. As we all know, in the field of social science, definition of any term act both as a guiding factor as well as a confusing factor, as definition has an evolving nature. Rather, I would like to stick on to the specific definition which are more apt for the paper. Here, region is defined as a geographical boundary having its own documented history, culture and tradition, language, belief system and religion, and recognized by national and international establishment. Rachet defines a region based on geographical proximity, social and cultural homogeneity, shared political attitudes and political institutions, and economic interdependence. However, a region's composition is subject to alter based on context. For example, war-like situation or clubbing region like the northeastern region or the seven sisters of Northeast India. Coming to regionalism, mostly a political process, is defined as an ideology and political movement that seeks to advance the causes of region and transnational cooperation to meet a common goal or to resolve a shared problem, or it refers to a group of countries. Regionalism is also about the strong feeling of pride or loyalty that people in a region have for that region, often including a desire to govern themselves. Now, coming to the next part, that is identity. As we all know, human beings have multiple identity, but that is not the topic of discussion in this paper. But identity, which are concerned about, is associated with the core of regionalism and its profound sense of identity that prevails. There is a widely shared sentiment of togetherness and we feeling in the mind of people, which often reinforce a sense of separateness from others. This kind of feeling comes spontaneously from within and is not influenced or imposed from any external agency. Therefore, precisely we can say that regionalism refers to the ideology which is primarily based on the awareness of linguistic, religious, ethnic, and cultural identity of a particular geographical region. Next in line is the research area, that is the 22nd state of India and the second smallest state and the only brother of the seven sisters of the Northeast, that is Sikkim. What makes Sikkim different is not only being the first fully organic state, its tourism, its flora and fauna, rich medicinal plants, variety of orchids and horticulture, low crime rate, and one of the safest places for women in India, but its history also. Before it became a part of India on 16 May 1975 with 90% of its residents voting for inclusion, Sikkim was ruled by only one single ruler or dynasty for more than 300 years, known as the Namgyal dynasty, also known as the Chogyals. As there was no history of other dynasty rulers or cross-border rulers like other parts of the India, Sikkim was able to preserve its cultural and tradition till the day of modernity. However, before it became a part of India, war with neighboring countries like Nepal was always a concern for the dynasty. And because of that conflict, it resulted Sikkim becoming a British protectorate and later a part of India after India's independence. Now, for this paper, a focus group discussion was conducted in the two districts of the state, that is the southern district, Namchi, and from the eastern district, Gangtok. In each group, a semi-structured questionnaire was used primarily to conduct or incept the FGD. The FGD was transcribed on MIA, node-based analysis